Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about rehabilitation after total laryngectomy. First successful laryngectomy was done by Theodor Billroth in Vienna in the year back in 1873. At the time, removal of the malignancy and preservation of life was the concept of surgical goal. But in the modern era, in addition to removal of malignancy and preservation of life, achieving functional outcome for breathing, swallowing, and speech to provide optimal quality of life is also concerned. That's why a multidisciplinary team approach is now advocated, which consists of surgeon, clinical oncologist, pathologist, plastic surgeon, staff nurse, dietitian, speech and language therapist, clinical nurse specialist, physiotherapist, and psychologist. So what happens after total laryngectomy? There is formation of a permanent neck stoma. There is changes to breathing, changes to swallowing, loss of vocal cords and normal voice production. So the options for voice rehabilitation are esophageal speech, artificial larynx, and tracheoesophageal speech. The example of artificial larynx are Electrolarynx, transoral pneumatic device. So how does esophageal speech work? Patient swallows air and hold it in the upper esophagus. Then the patient slowly ejects it from the esophagus into the pharynx. It causes vibration of the pharyngoesophageal segment, very similar condition that occurs in a belch. This vibration is modified with the lips and teeth into intelligible speech. The advantages of esophageal speech are this creates a natural voice, it's hands-free, and no appliance is required. But it has some disadvantages. It is difficult to learn, only 30% of patients can learn it. The voice is not so loud, it is quiet in nature. And it needs good vibration of the pharyngoesophageal segment. It does not work well in patients who have salvage laryngectomy following chemoradiation. The next one is Electrolarynx. It is actually a battery-operated portable device. As you can see in the picture, its vibrating disc is held against the soft tissue of the neck, which produces a low-pitched sound in the hypopharynx. This sound is modulated into speech by tongue, lips, teeth, and palate. The advantages of it are easy to learn, inexpensive, voice is loud, and it can be begun immediately after surgery. The disadvantages of electrolarynx are it requires batteries, it produces mechanical voice, it requires hands to operate electrolarynx. The patient must carry the device. In case of transoral pneumatic device, expired air from the tracheostome vibrates the diaphragm. Vibrations produced in the rubber diaphragm are carried by plastic tube into the back of the oral cavity. In the oral cavity, the sound is converted into speech by modulators. The next one is tracheoesophageal speech. In this modality, air is carried from trachea to the esophagus or hypopharynx. The vibrating air entering the pharynx is modulated into speech. For this, we need to create a tracheoesophageal puncture. It is done at the midline about 1 cm to 1.5 cm below the cut edge of the posterior tracheal wall. This makes artificial communication between back of the wall of the trachea and front of the pharynx or esophagus. Then a one-way valve is inserted into this tract. This valve allows passage of air from trachea to esophagus, vibrating the pharyngoesophageal segment. To direct the air from trachea into the esophagus, we have to occlude the stoma The patient needs to occlude their stroma and try to breathe out. This may be done with finger or by using a second manually operated valve that sits over the stoma. Its advantage is it produces natural quality of voice. Disadvantages are it may not work in pharyngeal constrictor spasm, it requires hands, there is risk of potential complications like leakage, infection, aspiration, and dislodgement, and it requires periodic cleaning and replacement. Now come to the respiratory rehabilitation. After laryngectomy, nasal functions of air humidification, filtration, and warming are lost. Reduced air resistance within the lungs causes reduced gaseous exchange. For this, we need an artificial nose, and this artificial nose is known as heat and moisture exchanger. Heat and moisture exchanger, which is also known as HME, consists of a small filter contained in a cassette, and it is attached in front of the stoma. So what does HME do? It warms and filters the air, thus reduces coughing and assists in sleep. It reduces mucus production by humidifying the ingoing air, and it improves lung function. The next rehabilitation is swallowing rehabilitation. Actually, after total laryngectomy, normal sequential muscular swallow is destroyed because of removal of high-weight bone and larynx during laryngectomy and separation of trachea and esophagus. So habituation to new and modified swallow after total laryngectomy may require assistance from a speech and language therapist. In case of olfaction, after total laryngectomy, when a patient breathes in and out via stoma, odor molecules cannot reach olfactory epithelium, and this produces anosmia or hyposmia. For this olfaction rehabilitation, there is a procedure called NIME procedure, nasal airflow inducing maneuver, which is abbreviated as NAIM. In this procedure, patient is taught to yawn with mouth closed, like polite yawning. Negative pressure in the oral cavity and oropharynx is created, and this generates a nasal airflow. Thus, odor substance can reach the olfactory epithelium again, and patient can smell to some extent. So that's all from rehabilitation after total laryngectomy. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.